For those astute observers. See, I still have the sweater on. And I still have the heat on at about 60 degrees. Nice thing about these computers over the years, they've become much more temperature tolerant of things. The guitar's been good too. Well, again, I promised, not on this channel. So, just a moment to torment your minds again for just a second. I love this sweater. I love this vest. I love layered clothing. I paid attention when there was this nuclear engineer once, and he told me, wear a sweater. Turn the thermostat down and wear a sweater. This is 30 years ago. No. Yeah, it's a little bit more than 30 years ago. Talking about late 70s. When weird conditions occurred in this country. Actually, it's not too weird. This country's always in an periodically in an uproar, and so it was in the late 70s. All confused about what we've been doing the last 10 years, and not, people arguing like nonsense perspectives on both sides and just failing to deal with what was a terrific tragedy, a protracted mistake. The events in Southeast Asia. Country was in an uproar afterward. Didn't know which way to turn. Sometimes somebody you would never expect to be president gets all up there in the White House and stuff. And it happens sometimes in the history of this country. Sometimes it's not such a bad thing. Sometimes people don't appreciate what they had until much later. So this nuclear engineer back then, he tells me, put on a sweater. Turn down your thermostat. I mean, we got an energy crisis. We can't just keep burning up the petroleum. If for no other reason, it's good for too many other things. Even if you don't care what it does to the air when we keep burning the stuff. It's like, there's too many other uses for it. We already knew that back in the 1970s. Plastics. And things we can do with plastics now that, oh boy. Need petroleum for that. Better than just burning the stuff up. Especially when you get batteries to the point where they're better than internal combustion engines. You can get you can power an electric motor so that it inherently works better than an internal combustion engine. It's more efficient. And, well, the motor itself is more efficient. Getting it the juice to run like a freaking internal combustion engine can, that's a difficulty. Big old battery. How many of you people know that electric cars were here as long as internal combustion cars? For a brief time there, they looked like the better choice before they got the internal combustion engine worked out halfway decent. And we've done marvelous things with that internal combustion engine. They're amazing. But the batteries they can make now, the energy they can pack into a small packet. Look at your computer. Look how much information that gets into a small packet. And information is energy, folks. I don't know if you ever noticed that. But I defy anybody to contradict me on the notion that information is energetic. Small packets. Batteries have gotten much better. And they're getting better yet. All the attendant things. Materials technology. Look at what is... batteries are better than they used to be. And electric motors were always better than internal combustion engines. Better. Potentially. They have full torque immediately. Don't think the trucks aren't going to be electric. They will be. It's just when you can get the battery down to the size when it ain't half the payload you're carrying around is the battery. That's the only reason internal combustion was more efficient when the batteries were big and clunky. we get batteries down to reasonable weights, small enough packages, which we have. Humans have done this now. And the progress is hasn't reached its limit. I was talking about, yeah, nuclear engineer. I mean, the guy once called himself a physicist. That was bull. That was just bull. He wasn't no nuclear physicist. Wasn't a nuclear physicist at all. But he was a nuclear engineer. He one of Hyman Rickover's own handpicked boys. Hyman Rickover, being a great United States naval admiral, the architect of the nuclear navy. He handpicked all the guys that went into the nuclear navy, and he sent them to the United States Naval Nuclear Power School. They wanted to be an officer on a submarine as opposed to a submersible boat, an actual submarine, a vessel that could actually operate undersea for protracted periods of time without needing to come even near the surface. Nuclear submarines, they call them, but it's submarine. The only submarines there are. Anything diesel electric has to operate near the surface. It's technically a submersible boat, folks. The sailors who man them, they're submariners. They always were. They're submariners, but they served on submersible boats back in the day. Still do, many of them, throughout the world. I mean, Navy's not entirely nuclear. But yeah, this guy, I don't know. The only reason I particularly notice him, the one that told me, to wear a sweater and turn the thermostat down, the only nuclear engineer that ever served as president of the United States. Yeah, he used that pronunciation, by the way, nuclear. Just saying. It's the correct pronunciation. It's not as though I say nuclear and you make any mistake about what word I mean, what I'm referring to. Oh, it's not spelled that way. Oh, that's right. It's not spelled nuclear. Yeah, but it's a English language word. They're not pronounced the way they're spelled.